got Ram, the master welder, on this van here. What happened is somebody had jacked it up from the jacking point, which is obviously a big no-no on an old vehicle unless you're certain that it's actually solid, which this definitely wasn't. So the axle stand that they put it on went straight through. So all of this section here has been refabricated, and this end of this section here was also rotten, not just letting in a whole load of rain and moisture every time you ride in the rain. Is all the fiberglass from the van that people have tried to repair things in the past, and this is what was inside that sill. It's unbelievable. If you're going to repair anywhere near a jacking point, there's no point in doing it in fiberglass. You need to do it in metal and go back as far as you need to till you find good metal. Before you ever buy a classic vehicle, whether it's not, you're not like to be buying a Fiat 238, but in an old Mercedes or anything like that, it's what you can't see that's important. What you're looking at there is the outer bit. There's a middle section here. I'm just gonna, if you take a picture of the phone, that's the middle section that's all had to be welded and repaired, and then you've got the outer, which is another story, and we'll come back to that at another time. So this would all be covered normally with either paint or some rust proofing. This has all had to be renewed. Once you strip all of that off, you see the extent of the rust and the damage, and there's no point in just repairing something up at the front here and trying to weld to rusty metal. So this has all been done. It will not be cheap getting this done, especially getting it done properly. Getting all of these sort of details here takes time to do, but I do think that if you're going to do a job, you might as well do it properly, and hopefully this is going to last for the next few years. For a concourse restoration here, otherwise we would take this fibre. This is all fiberglass here, so what we've had to do, I say we, Ram has done it, what we've had to do here is replace all of this. So when you get that bill for thousands of pounds and you just see the outside work, you will have no appreciation of how much time has actually gone in to do the work properly behind if you've taken it to a decent garage. If you haven't taken it to a decent garage, what they'll do is they'll just do a patch-up job, and in a few years later, either you or whoever buys the van from you will have the same problem again. Finished the welding on this van. You can see they've done a really nice job. They've red oxided it. That is all dry now, and I'm just going to ask them to under seal it as well. When we first got this van, our footwells had big holes in it, and this was all rusted away, so we've done all of this. The boss here, so they've done all of this side as well, done a really nice job on it. As I've mentioned many times, and I'm sure Mike will concur, it's not cheap getting all of this stuff done. Around this side here, maybe car paint warehouse, a little can of blue paint, do you reckon? Yeah, so this is all being redone here. And then on this side here as well, when you take your van or vehicle in, they put it up on a ramp and start doing work, they'll find a whole host of other things. This ball joint here isn't that how it's supposed to be, Mike? No.
It's been opened up like an orange. That is,
so
I'll show you the one the other side.
So we've got another ball joint on
So this ball joint has actually come up through here and smashed the case out through it.
We've ordered
it's only the tension of the spring holding it together.
Oh my lord, really. So that's a dangerous thing.
We put another new fan belt on, so that's nice and tight. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
A new one, did you say?
Yeah. Hang the expense.
So inside here, all of this has been done. At some stage, what we do from Italy was get a whole new set of rubber mats, but that's not an urgent thing. It's the sad thing about this work, you'll never forget about the hole in your bank account, but you will not see a lot of this work once you put the mats in. But it is important to do it properly if you're going to do it at all. Can you see that ball joint over the top? That's what it's supposed to look like. I had all the welding done on this van. One of the things I'm going to do is replace all the door seals. Now there's a couple of options. This little door seal here comes from a Cambio, and that's probably going to be the best fit. And there's about 4 meters of seal around each door here, but there's a great company in the UK called Woolies that does just about every single seal you could imagine for cars. So they've sent me a whole load of samples for free with next day delivery, which is great. So this is the Woolies seal, door seal here, and the rubber is much softer and more forgiving. The Cambio one is a much stiffer seal, and that might be a problem sometimes in terms of when it comes to closing the door. It takes quite a bit of time for these seals to wear in. This one here, I imagine, would be much easier to close and wouldn't have the problem of the door hitting that seal. Now, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but I'm sitting in the van here with the door closed, and you can see the gap there because obviously there's no door seal in at the moment. Now this perhaps illustrates best the difference between these two seals here. This top seal here, which is the more flexible of the two, is actually squeezing that rubber right into that gap, whereas this bottom seal here is kind of just pushing the O against the edge of it. So actually I think the seal from Woolies is going to do a better job in this particular case than the one from Recambio. So I think we're going to go ahead and order 8 meters of the 266, £5 a meter. So these door seals, once again, £40 just for the door seals. That's not cheap. Ram actually, who's done all the welding and just pointing out that, and he's just pointed out that the softer seals are normally the better ones. Because
they are better because you don't need to slam the doors really hard.
Yeah.
We have the same issue with Alfa Romeo. It was happening. We changed the seals and straight away the doors
close. Actually, do you know, I have that problem on my Fiat 500, the little classic Fiat 500, that you have to really slam the doors, and it makes me think possibly because they've got that harder rubber seal on. So that's good to know. In the post the very next day from this company Woolies is the door seal here, which we are just attempting to fit ourselves. There's nothing particularly difficult about fitting these door seals, apart from when you come to the corners here, you've got to make sure that it's really pushed in. When you come to cut it at the end, just cut it a few millimeters longer, because this will be flexible and you really want these things to push together at the end. Everything right, the door will close. It will take a little bit of time for this seal to wear in, but that door closes absolutely fine now, and that will stop the water leaking in. You'll know this, but if you are fitting door seals, these door seals are metal at the bottom, so don't try cutting them with normal scissors. You need a pair of tin snips, cost about £10 from Screwfix. Finished putting that seal in. Now we ordered 8 meters of this stuff from Woolies. It'd be interesting to measure the leftover bit to see if that is more or less than a meter. Buy these door seals in the meter. We ordered 8 meters, and in actual fact we only needed 7 meters. So anyone who is doing the door seals on their Fiat 238, you need 7 meters, not 8. Picked up our van from Auto Classico. They've finished doing the welding and the various other bits and pieces. This is what was left of that upper ball joint. Over there we got them to replace the tie rod ends as well. You can see they're all pretty knackered. That one's not quite as bad, but once the rubbers are split, you'll start to get dirt and grit inside there, and they won't last long. Possible we've replaced the steering components as well. Some of them were pretty rusty. This one's not actually too bad, so we may keep this in case we ever need it in the future. One of the things I'm really glad to see the back of is this header tank here. This is how you fill the radiator, and you can see that that is completely rusted, and the inside of it is completely full of gunk as well. So we've got a new one of those. You do need to be careful because there are 2 types of these tanks, and originally we bought the wrong one. This is the header tank that we bought that doesn't fit, and it looks exactly the same from the top, but the bottom of the tank has a thinner tube just here. So if anyone does need a header tank for their 238 with a thinner tube, we've got one. We also bought a new radiator cap for our vehicle, but it doesn't fit particularly well, so we just took out the rubber washer and put that on our old radiator cap, and that seems to work fine. All of these brake cylinders here have been replaced. They were available from Recambio next day delivery. One of them had seized, but we took the opportunity just to replace all of them. The last thing I want to be doing is being on holiday with the family and the brakes seize up, so those are all being renewed. This is the temperature or the engine overheating switch, which at some stage this van has been seriously overheated, and this switch is completely knackered. So if the van does overheat and you want to know about it, you'll need to have a working one of these. Basically you'll get a red light on the dash when the van overheats, but that's been replaced as well. Next thing we're going to do on this van is replace all of these seals here. These are just neoprene seals which stick in with one-sided tape. So we've gone along to a company called Rubber Stuff. This company here, it's the cheapest place I could find, and half of these seals are broken like this, and in a lot of the cases they're actually missing altogether. So we're going to go around and replace all the seals around all the doors. There's actually quite a lot of those seals, so it's not a particularly cheap thing to do, but it will keep the draft out of this van and also make it more soundproof once you're sleeping in there. What we've got is this, which will squeeze in there nicely, and it's self-adhesive on the back. And what's come out of there is this, which is quite worn out now. Sodden as well. Before I take the sticky tape off, I'm going to dry fit the seal, because once you take that off and stick it down, you'll never get it off again. I'm going to finish this video here. We have done so much on this van. We've sorted out all the seats to make it a really comfortable sleeping area. We've fixed the fridge. We've sorted out the solar panel and the electrics. We've fixed the sink, a lovely rustic feel, massively increased the storage. Everything's now done with neodymium magnets. There's no screws into the chassis anymore. Put in lightweight shelving here and here, once again massively increasing the storage, taking out the heavy oak that wasn't necessary. We've hidden away all the bed panels that we can in the doors here and here and made them into shelves, removable shelves wherever possible. We've got rid of the massive 2 water containers that were in here before, cut down the weight dramatically, put in half the size water container and just taken the overflow out to the bottom of the van. In the back here, we've got shelves for all of our food and cutlery, etc. We've made all of this into full-size beds, given ourselves, once again, extra storage down there, firewood. This is just using all the leftover wood that we took out of this vehicle. Placed all the door seals here, done masses of work to the engine, rebuilt the clutch, replaced all of these gaskets here. Most of the hoses are new water pump. So a new water pump, new thermostat. What else have we done? Fuel filters, all of these tie rod, track rod ends have been done. The brakes have been done. We spent a fortune getting all the floor pans replaced properly and all the sills. That all looks really nice. Done a ton of work on this pretty little Fiat 238 since we rescued it from Aberdeen, where it had been stuck in a caravan park for the last 2 years. Anyone who's ever owned a Fiat will know that they don't do well out in the rain, so we'll be putting this little van into storage for the winter, and then we are off to Australia. Sell not just door seals but carpets, out there, a whole load of stuff. If you're refurbishing an old vehicle, definitely worth having a look at their website. For the neoprene seals, we use this company here, Rubber Stuff. Now, we've used them before for Mercedes, actually. When refurbishing the Mercedes headlights, there's a neoprene seal that runs around the outside, and you can get that from these guys here on a roll. But they sell just about every type of rubber you might ever need, so definitely worth checking them out. Anyone based in the UK, these guys here at Cambio have a huge range of parts, not just for the Fiat 238, but for Lancias, Alfa Romeos, you name it. They've got a massive range of parts, and they all send stuff out next day delivery, and my experience has been really good communication, and when things don't fit, didn't work, they accepted returns as well. So definitely worth checking them out.